All right, what is up, everybody? Divine Hood here, coming at you with another daily update on Bitcoin and the crypto markets. How's everybody doing today? I hope you guys had a good 4th of July or holiday weekend. If you weren't celebrating because you're not in the USA, then I hope you had a good weekend anyways. We are back to the charts, and let's give an update on Bitcoin. So, guys, when we left last Friday, we were in this general area here, dumping down and back testing the pitchfork band after rejecting from the top of our bearish pitchfork. We were going to see if we could break out of this bearish pitchfork. We could see some follow through and go up to possibly new all-time highs. But if we did reject from this pitchfork, the bearish top of the pitchfork, then we could expect to move back down to the band. We got one bounce at the band, but you can see what happened over the holiday weekend is obviously that slow, low volume grind that happens on Saturdays. Nothing really ever happens in the market on Saturdays. And then on Sunday, we did pump up, and twice we bearishly back tested that pitchfork top again after rejecting from it a couple times on the week open, the market open of the week, or when the markets were open during the week. Back tested again on a weekend, Sundays, and we rejected, dumping down today and dumping down to our local point of control. And also, there's a couple levels why we bounced where we bounced earlier today. We are seeing a decent bounce, and I did long that 107.5K area of support. It is an area where I do think we're going to get a scalp long off of, but I do not think that is the low is in. I think we could continue a little bit lower, and let me explain why. So if we, first of all, we rejected from the upper band, or rejected from the top of the pitchfork, tried to get above the pitchfork a couple times during the markets being open last week, and then over the weekend made a lower high into our 786 golden pocket area. So if we pull a golden pocket from the highs of Thursday down to our lows of Friday, and we look at our golden pocket in 786 area, you can see overall we did reject from that golden pocket and wicked a little bit past up, not quite to the 786, but pretty much rejecting from our lower high golden pocket and the top of the pitchfork. And since rejecting from that area, we have kind of been dropping all day Sunday night and all day today, Monday, finding local support, and we can expect to see a little bounce from this local support area because it was local support. So first of all, since June 25th, we've been in this sideways range for about 12 and a half days now. So let's go ahead and turn on that sideways range. We can look at that sideways range here, and you can see one of the reasons we bounced is because it was the point of control of our range, where the most volume, the fair value of our range, where if buyers are still willing to pay fair value for Bitcoin, they will step in and buy at those prices. You can also see it was right around our pitchfork band. We did front run that pitchfork band just very, very slightly, but it was pretty much the pitchfork band support, the golden pocket support, and also if we take a Fibonacci pull from the lows of last Friday to our weekend highs and we look at our 886 level, it was also our 886 Fibonacci level. So that is a reason we're bouncing. It was multiple confluences of support, local support, seeing a nice bounce from here. But because we've hit this 886 now on this downtrend, we started a bearish trend, making, you have your high, you have your lower high, breaking these lows here. Then you have your lower low, and then you have your lower high. So could we expect a lower low to come in on the charts? Possibly finishing a bigger three-wave zigzag correction before coming back up and trying to make new all-time highs. So what I am looking at here, because we are bouncing from our local 886, from our local POC, and from the pitchfork band, I did look for a long right at this area of 105, 107, 500-ish, and I'm still long on that area, but I am looking to take profits. Let's go ahead and turn on that 12 and a half day range again. And then let's turn on our golden pocket, just pulled from last Thursday's highs down to last Friday's lows. Excuse me, not that pull. From Sunday highs to today's lows. If we pull on from Sunday's highs to today's lows, you can see our golden pocket is coming in right around that value area high of our 12 and a half day range. And earlier today, even if we pull it back, let me back that up. Even if we pull this range back just a little bit, you can see it was in perfect confluence. Now it has shifted just a little bit lower, the value area high. But that value area high is right around our golden pocket. So between about 108.8 to 108.950-ish, 960-ish. That is the area of resistance, local resistance, where if we're going to put in a lower high, we could put in a lower high in this general area and then see us continue dumping to the downside. And what I would be looking at is at least taking probably 2/3 of my long trade out at this area of resistance. We are hitting the VWAP close from technically yesterday. It's still the same day, but market closed 32 minutes ago. So for market close yesterday, we are hitting our VWAP close right now. Seeing a bit of a reaction there. We could roll over from where we're at now. If we do start to roll over, I will just take out 50% and move my stop to break even. You can see hitting the VWAP close. You can see where the VWAP did snap to the new day's price action just 30 minutes ago, and we are rejecting from the VWAP close, or starting to see a rejection from the VWAP close. But I did look for a long at this area of 107,500 because we were seeing bull divs on the chart, lower lows in price action, higher lows in the momentum waves, and our money flow was starting to look pretty good here. Now, I admit coming down into that support level didn't look the best on the 15-minute, but if we look at NAMI, we were seeing the bull divs and money flow was coming up very nicely on NAMI to the upside, giving us some confirmation to enter at least a scalp long at that area of support, with it being multiple confluences of support. If we zoom in onto the 6-minute chart, you can see this is what really gave me the confidence to long this. Lower lows all through this area today, higher lows through the momentum waves, and our money flow was very nicely curving to the upside here on Market Cipher B. Coming into our support level, it was good enough confirmations for me to at least attempt a scalp long from there. Afterwards, we did print some hidden bull divs on the chart on lower time frames, followed by some bull divs, and money flow is still kind of coming up, about trying to attempt to cross into the green right now. But overall, we're seeing those nice momentum waves come higher and higher and higher as the price was getting lower and lower. But overall, I would like to say Bitcoin isn't looking the best, guys. And there is a possibility if we zoom out on some of the higher time frames. Let's go on to the 4-hour time frame here. And there is a possibility that we could see a bigger dump to the downside, at least to the value area low of our 12-day range, 12.5-day range, around 106,450-ish, where you can see our anchored VWAP from the all-time high is in confluence with that value area low of our 12.5-day range. Also, if we pull that Fibonacci from the lows of July 1st to the highs, and we look at our 786 level, our 786 level is very, very close to that area. So that's a general area of support that I'll be looking at, attempting another long scalp from. Let me just be clear of this. It would be a scalp trade only based off of just this volume profile, trading the range. We're in this small 12.5-day range. And the reason why I'm looking to take profit up at this golden pocket around 108, 108,900-ish, 108,800, 108,900 is because we have attempted to break out of the volume profile to the upside at the end of the market last week, at end of the week market open. We broke above it, rejected from the pitchfork top, bullishly back tested it, held it as support, and tried to break out of the pitchfork. We saw another failed break out of the pitchfork, came down again, tried to bounce. Once we could not, we failed to bounce. You can see we dropped really, really quickly to the POC of the range. So what this told me is that this was a failed breakout of the bigger pitchfork, the bigger bearish pitchfork resistance. It was a failed breakout. We broke back within the volume profile. And of course, over the weekend with low volume weekend shenanigans that often goes on, we saw a bit of a pump yesterday, but when we bearishly backtested the top of that pitchfork and rejected, and then fell back with inside our volume profile, the second we fell back with inside this volume profile, I was expecting us to at least make our way down to the point of control. Earlier today, some people in the Discord were looking for longs around 108K, around the SFPs, internal SFPs, around this low here, around 107,800. and I was just waiting for a little bit lower to hit that point of control. We did hit that point of control, seeing a nice little reaction from this point of control. But overall, guys, we have dumped back within the volume profile. And because we are back within this volume profile, if we do, yes, we are bouncing from the point of control, but if we do come up to the value area high / golden pocket resistance and we reject this, then we can expect to move all the way down to the value area low of the range, filling this volume profile and possibly even dropping much, much lower. And we'll go into that in just a second. So, and the reason why also we did see our 4-hour momentum wave, it's a trigger wave. It's not bear divs because it's a lower high, but we saw those bear divs coming in on the charts, higher highs in the price action. Here, higher highs in the price action, lower highs in the momentum wave. So we saw the 4-hour bear div at the top. Money flow's been draining out of the asset ever since those 4-hour bear divs confirmed. And then now we've confirmed a lower high trigger wave, a topping out of a trigger wave to the downside. So, and money flow is still kind of draining out of the asset overall. You can see on NAMI, we did have those same bear divs on the chart, very, very locally here. 4-hour bear divs on the chart, money flow draining into the red, and money flow is still in the red. It looks like it is attempting to come to the upside, but overall, it is looking a little bit more, I wouldn't say neutral to bearish right now, at least for a move down to the bottom of our 12-day range around the 106,400 area, 106,500. So that's kind of what I'm looking at here on Bitcoin, very, very locally. Not a lot happened over the weekend. We did finally come up and bearishly backtest that pitchfork level, which we were talking about on Friday, and that is kind of what happened. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at our naked daily points of controls. We do have a fresh naked daily point of control that is going to be above the weekend highs, Sunday's highs that we just put in yesterday. So there is a possibility that if we do break this purple box of resistance just above us, then we will continue up to SFP, the weekend highs. Remember, guys, weekend highs and weekend lows often get taken out. And that weekend high into a naked daily point of control at 109,800 could be another good scalp short position where we could see another attempt to break out of this bearish pitchfork just coming into that naked daily. And if we reject that and fall back within the pitchfork, it could be a nice short trade to be looking at. So that's an area of potential resistance to look for a short, the SFP into naked daily. Okay, there we go. And that's kind of all I'm looking at right now. Looking at Bitcoin to kind of just continue to range or to see a bit of move to the downside. If we zoom out onto the daily chart, on the daily chart, you can see our momentum wave is topping out once again. And I've been talking about this for a couple weeks now, and I've reminded you guys how the last time this happened was in this all-time high range back from November through February. As a range was forming, we were forming bear divs on the chart on the daily time frame, and our money flow was draining out of the asset as this range was forming, showing more of a potential distribution to the downside rather than continuation to make new all-time highs. And now we have been in our larger range here since May 8th. Let's go ahead and measure how many days that is now. Let's just take it from here. For about 60 days now, for 2 months, we have been in a sideways range. And as that range is forming, once again, guys, higher highs on the price action, lower highs on the momentum waves, confirming those bear divs, a triple drive of bear divs. But after those triple drive of bear divs confirmed, you can see our money flow topped out and has been draining out of the asset as we are forming the range. Very, very similar to what happened at the beginning of the year. And so there is a potential that we could see a bigger rollover and get a much bigger dump to the downside, possibly even a distribution back down to 89K where our macro golden pocket is, macro golden pocket move. And just want to make you guys aware that that is something on the chart that we do need to be paying attention to. Let me go ahead and hide these naked dailies. I will go ahead and hide that. Inside that. Okay, so yeah, the thing is we are seeing a trigger wave form on Bitcoin, topping out on the daily momentum wave. We did print some hidden bear divs about a week ago on NAMI on the daily time frame, and our money flow has been consistently leaving out of the asset as this range is forming. To me, that's a pretty semi-bearish signal to be looking at on the charts for a possible another rotation back down, at least to the bottom of our range, or even seeing a dump down to 89k. 96.5 is our first major support level, and then 89k after that. And I have shown you guys those support levels, those more macro support levels, in many videos over the past weeks. So if you're interested, first, we can let's go ahead and zoom back in onto our 4-hour chart. And if we look at our 4-hour chart, this range that we've been in since May 8th for about 2 months now, we'll turn off the small 12.5-day range, and we will just look at our larger range that is our 2-month range, our 60-day range. Well, first off, one of the things that we can look at is we're hovering right around the value area high of the range. We are actually holding above it for the most part, which is looking decent here. What used to be acting as resistance for a couple weeks is now flipping into support this week and this weekend, which is a good sign. That's a good sign that we might continue and break out of this range. But if we do fall back within, if we make a lower high here and fall back within, that is a sign that we could start to see that bigger drop to the downside happen. Where we do have some nice support, you can see here on the chart last week, we had front run the point of control of the range at 105, 120. And we do also have a new naked monthly point of control. If we turn on our naked monthly points of control, you can see we have a new naked monthly point of control right at that 105k area, right at the POC of the range. So if we do lose our small 12.5-day range value area low, which is at our anchored VWAP, then I will be looking for a move down to 105k. The SFP of July 1st lows into a naked monthly point of control and into our 2-month range point of control. That is the next major area of support. So let's go ahead and mark that out. We'll do this here. Make that green. Okay. And I believe there was something else there as well. Let's see. No naked weeklies. No naked dailies. Okay, there's a daily just a bit higher at 105,700, but that's a little bit too high for me to include it in this box of support. But yes, so very locally, we're bouncing from our 12-day range point of control. If we can get back above the value area high between 108.8 and 108.900, then I think we can see continuation at least to take out Sunday's highs, possibly even breaking out and taking out the highs at 110.650. If we reject here, I do think we're going to come at least down to the value area low, and that is going to be around 106.450 to 106.500. That is going to be this support box here. Value area low, anchored VWAP. Uh-huh. And also, if we take a Fibonacci and we go from the lows of last week to the highs of the week, you can see that 786 is right down there as well. That's the same 786 I showed you guys earlier on the chart. So we'll just extend that box down to the 786. So there are your two local support levels to the downside if our point of control doesn't hold at right now. We do have the local golden pocket still. I would like to mention this as well on the charts because this is of note. Yet last week I was looking at this. So if we actually take that same Fibonacci pole and we look at the golden pocket, You can see that golden pocket's coming in right around 1072 to 107034. And we do have the swing failure pattern of last week's lows, last Friday's lows, into that golden pocket. Now, it's not as nice as it was if it would have happened in this area over here because it was aligning nicely with the top of our pitchfork band. Now it's floating around in the middle of our pitchfork band unless we can actually it was towards towards the bottom of our pitchfork band. But if some time elapses, then we could get it maybe to align up with the top of the pitchfork band. We would need to range for another couple days here. We would need to range until till Sunday for a week in order for it to line there. So not looking at that golden pocket too much anymore, but there is also still a possibility that you could see the liquidity grab into a golden pocket. And I've said this many, many times over my channel. Anytime you have a liquidity grab into a golden pocket, you should at least be paying attention to that as a trader. Okay, let's go ahead and go into our CVD. Oops. Okay, we will go into that next time. Let's go into our liquidation heat maps. And if we go to look at our local liquidity, let's do the past 2 weeks because that's a 14-day. We have a 12.5-day range. So we're going to look at the liquidity of the last 14 days. And you can see what happened on Sunday is we did come out and take out all that liquidity that was resting at the top of our range on Sunday. We had some liquidity up into these highs here, and we took that liquidity out. And now we are dumping to the downside. And you can see we've also taken out the liquidity at the bottom of our range when we hit into the POC for the first time, right in this area. So we've kind of taken out all the liquidity locally in this range. If we zoom out to even higher time frames, let's go to the 3-month chart. Bitcoin's been in the bigger range for about 2 months, this bigger range for about 2 months. You can see that the majority of the liquidity is just above us, and it's actually above the all-time highs, resting up into those all-time highs. So I would say this. Yes, we are seeing on higher time frames some bearish signals. Let's go back out onto the daily time frame. We are seeing the same sort of distribution-like pattern forming that we formed in this range between November and February, possibly forming in this range right now, with the bear divs on the daily time frame and money flow draining out of the asset. Bear divs on the daily time frame, money flow draining out of the asset. But there's a potential that if Bitcoin can hold our 60-day range, that's this larger range. Let me turn off the small range so you guys don't get confused here. Let me clean up the charts and let's turn off the small range. Nope. This here, if we can hold that point of control that is around 105K, which we also have our naked monthly point of control there, then we probably can see a push up to break out to new all-time highs before seeing a bigger rollover. But if we lose that point of control, that's considered fair value for the asset over the last 60 days. And if we start to lose, if we start to roll over here and lose this point of control, maybe come down to the value area low, bounce from the value area low, and then bearishly backtest that POC and reject, then we probably are going to see a bigger flush breaking these range lows. We do have to remember our 7-month long range, it's our macro range. We have ranges within ranges. We do have our point of control of that macro range that was front run a couple weeks ago. And that macro POC, let me just extend this all the way. That macro POC is coming in right around 96,600, 96,500. And that would be the next major area where we want to see Bitcoin bounce. If Bitcoin is going to not see a bigger distribution, something like, we saw the range within this 2 or 3 months here, money flow draining out of the asset, bear divs, and then we dumped much, much lower aggressively. If we do not want to replicate what happened over in this range at the early year, we do need to hold this point of control. Like worst case scenario, if we dump down to 96,500, we need to hold 96,500, grab the liquidity of the range lows one last time into our point of control, and then try to get a move back up inside that 60-day range. Because if we lose this point of control, then we are probably going to see a bigger distribution flush to the downside, just like we saw a few months ago. I hope that makes sense to you. I hope that chart wasn't too messy and somewhat easy to follow what I was talking about there. But that's what I'm looking at for Bitcoin. So locally, we have local levels. Trade the range until it breaks. We're within ranges, within ranges, within ranges. So we have our big 7-month long range. Our big 7-month long range. We're looking at that point of control around 96,500 as macro major support. If we start breaking our smaller ranges, that's our macro range. Within our macro range, we have a 60-day range, a 2-month range, which is the range that this range here, I call this the intermediate range. We have the point of control of this range being some crucial support around 105K. And then, of course, we have the value area low of that range around 102.5, which is where our golden pocket of this big last impulse up was. If we take a golden pocket from the lows to the highs, you can see that that golden pocket is in perfect confluence with the value area low at 102,500. And this is a level we've had marked on the chart as a support level for a couple weeks now. Let's see. No, that guy, we can get rid of that. I will look at that in a second. There we go. That 102,500 area. Let me just pull this over. 102, 103 to 102.5 is going to be our area of support on Bitcoin. That is the value area low of our 60-day range. So as traders, we play level to level. We're bouncing from our 12-day range point of control. If we lose that, we're going to go to the value area low of our 12-day range. And that is where our anchored VWAP is. That's this first green box. If we lose this first green box, I expect to move down to 105K. If we lose 105K, I really expect to move down to 103K, to 102.5. Now, we do have our pitchfork midline in the middle there at like 104. And that will give us at least some sort of reaction based off how well the pitchfork levels have been reacting. But it might just give us a bounce. Like if we do this, just continue working our way down, bounce from here just to back test that point of control and then drop to value area low. So yes, the midline is there, but I'm not looking too much at it unless there's going to be other confluence there. We do have an order block in there, depending on time-wise. But really, these three boxes are the big boxes of support that I'm looking at. 106, 400, 105K, and then 103 to 102.5. To the upside, we have the naked daily point of control. Well, first of all, we have our lower high golden pocket in confluence with our value area high of our 12-day range at 108.8 to 108.9. Then we have the SFP of the weekend highs, which we know oftentimes get taken out, 109,700 into our naked daily point of control at 109,800. If we break that, then we're probably going to come take the highs from 110,650 and possibly even break up to new all-time highs. We'll look at that if and when the time comes. But right now we are just continuing to range within the smaller range and within our intermediate range, our 60-day range. And that's what I'm looking at for Bitcoin, guys. So that is it for today's video. If you got anything out of the video, please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel. I am going to make another video later today updating you guys on some of the altcoins because some of the altcoins have hit some big support levels that or resistance levels that we've been waiting for forever. For instance, XRP finally came up after multiple tries of coming up to hit that naked monthly point of control. XRP finally did what I've been waiting for, and I am short from this, by the way. We had the swing failure pattern of our double highs into our naked monthly point of control. It was also the top of our descending channel. And the second we started closing below that high, did take a short on that, and we are breaking back underneath the value area high of our volume profile. So I'll cover some of the altcoins. We also saw that Link rejected from the resistance that we were looking for weeks, coming up to 14.1 to 14.3. And we are seeing it, back within the range here. So I'll make another altcoin video later today, tonight, this evening, and upload that for you guys, updating you guys on some of the altcoin statuses of these altcoins that I follow. But if you got anything out of this video, please like the video, please subscribe to the channel. We do have a couple sponsors and partners of the channel. We have BYDFI here. They are a KYC free and VPN free exchange. All you need is an email and a password to sign up. They're offering some really nice deposit bonuses. They continued that campaign. It was only going till July 3rd, but they can did a couple weeks on this. So now until July 14th, if you deposit just $100, you can get a 50% deposit bonus on your deposit, and then various 10 to 20% deposit bonuses depending on how much you deposit as your initial deposit. They're also offering up to $8,100 in futures trading bonuses depending on how much volume you move in your futures trading markets. And they're offering discounts on trading fees, a minimum of 17% discount if you use my affiliate link, but you can also get higher rates on your discounts, higher tier rates on discounts, depending on how much you deposit into the account. So if you're interested in that, links in the description below. We do have NAMI. NAMI is a momentum and money flow indicator that I use for entry and exit confirmations on trades. They are also running that 50% off special for a limited time. If you're interested in purchasing NAMI, the affiliate link is in the description, and the discount code is in the description as well. Divine50 is the discount code. If you use my link, you can get 50% off. And then lastly, we have MEXC. They're offering 10% cash back on your initial deposit and up to $20,000 in futures trading bonuses. Link is in the description for MEXC if you guys would like to check out MEXC. So thank you guys for your time, and I will see you later tonight.